just want to put this up. Looks like the milkshakings have made their way to the United States. Dov Hikind, I think he's a New York representative.
Yep.
He has the Ilhan Must Go truck, and this guy threw a chocolate milkshake over the side of it. So.
All right. Yes, Dov Hikind.
Yeah.
He is a local state rep who is in, I think, I want to say Crown Heights, maybe, or where is he?
I thought Williamsburg.
Williamsburg.
But he's
Williamsburg.
an ultra
Right.
far right, but like he's ultra orthodox. But he's a power broker. I mean, he delivers votes.
He, I think, is a Democrat, but caucuses with the Republicans or something to that effect. I can't remember quite, but he's always been a problematic, and obviously playing on the idea that in Williamsburg there is a vested interest in Ilhan Omar in the House is a little bit of a stretch if you unless you start to contemplate the idea of anti-Muslim thought. And here is a young man who is deciding to forego his milkshake for the sake of making a point. Oh, it's just a picture.
Oh yeah, it's just a picture.
Nice.
I do think it's nice that you can walk around with a milkshake and feel patriotic now, like you're ready to be a patriot.
I mean, I would like to see maybe somebody market it. Maybe that's what we should be doing. Maybe that should be some merch. Majority Report milkshake.
Yeah, if you have a dairy company and want us to brand your milkshake, I'd
That's
love
right.
to be the face of it.
And it doesn't have to be
vegan dairy.
It doesn't have to be cold. It could be like a protein drink. I feel like that way you could keep it. And the key would be the packaging, because you want to be able to carry it around in your pocket, and then when you need to, just rip off the top.
A nice
not
big
just a whole, but like a big
top,
open
too.
top, and just rip off the top like a rip away bag almost. And then almost there should be like a function like where you can squeeze it so you can make it a projectile.
Right. Yeah.
Now, apparently, I should say,
But I just want to say really
Dave
quick.
Frum apparently has written a piece saying that the milkshaking is a metaphorical, is that it? Assassination attempt? I don't know if he's addressed the egging, which would probably be, I mean, the milkshaking would be, according to him, a handgun. Oh, here it is. It's symbolic assassination attempts. This is a tweet. May not be violent any more than jokes about attempted rape are violent, but a healthy political culture allows no room for either. Now, that's not true, because the issue about rape jokes is not about a political culture, but it is about actually a one-to-one. It's not symbolic at all. It has real import to the culture. And David Frum decides that the milkshaking may be a symbolic assassination attempt, but it's not an attempt. It would be a symbolic assassination, right? Because the milkshakes are landing. But the fact of the matter is that there is no damage to the political culture, no material damage to the political culture that people make a symbolic protest. There is real damage to the culture when people start to make it acceptable to joke about rape like it's not a big deal, because that implicates how people react to it, how society reacts to it from a criminal standpoint, how it reacts to the perception of victims of rape, and to women broadly, that the idea that they would be raped is just not that big of a deal, as opposed to the idea that people would be milkshaked, that we shouldn't have immediate respect for any perspective that's out there. Now, look, this goes both ways. I think it's perfectly legitimate, and I said this yesterday, for leftist politicians, centrist politicians, political figures. I mean, if the right wants to milkshake me for whatever reason, I think it's a legitimate form of protest. Now, it won't make any difference with me. I've been milkshaked. Like, here's how you know it's not the same. If someone shot me, it would be a real problem. But if someone milkshaked me, no one would care. No one would report about it. The only place you would hear about it would be on this show. And maybe if somebody else, whoever milkshaked me would have a video of it. But no one would care because there's no symbolism. Because it's meaningless. It's a meaningless gesture. So the analogy is not apt. And here is a perfect example. Someone on the center left, not getting milkshaked but egged, which in some ways is more violent because it involves physical touching.
Well, that's worse.
And here's how people get past it in a way that, even though they've been symbolically assassinated, here's how they get past it. This is
2012.
2012. Ed Miliband doing an interview gets egged. And I remember when David Frum was so upset about this at the time, incidentally. But go ahead.
Yes, he's been on a whistle-stop tour of the places where Labour did well yesterday, and he's stopped off here in Southampton. It was a stunning victory here by any standards for Labour. What do you put it down to?
I think it's a couple of things. First of all, we ran a very good campaign. We talked to 30,000 voters since January, talking about Labour's plans on jobs, apprenticeships, housing, the things that matter to people. We've also got people, I think, who thought... We've also... Oh, right.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Obviously not one of my fans.
No. But hey, go on.
We've obviously got people who came to us because on jobs, on apprenticeships, on the things that matter to them.
Oh my gosh, for a guy who's just been symbolically assassinated. That's how adults deal with it. And of course, when that happened to Ed Miliband, you never heard about it because it wasn't that big of a deal. Because it's an empty gesture. When you egg somebody who the vast majority of people don't feel their ideas are breaking the norms that inhibit people. And yesterday, I interviewed an academic psychiatrist who's done a lot of clinical research on implicit bias that exists in all of us, in terms of race in particular. And the one thing that changes the implications of implicit bias, which we all have at all times, is on the conscious level what we accept as norm, as being allowed. That you can have the same implicit bias in January as you do in June, but if the social context is different, the implications of that bias and how it plays out potentially harms people or discriminates against people is very different. And so the idea that when you milkshake a fascist or when you milkshake a billboard that is
symbolic bombing.
Yeah, is really a hate message, is somehow problematic, is just simply wrong. And it is just more defense of basically positions that reinforce the right just down the spectrum a little bit. So,
well, it's also only a big deal when people make it out to be a big deal, right? And the right is in power in this country in every way that matters, but they run on aggrievement. So they have to have something to feel like aggrieved and attacked over, whether it's milkshakes or like gay characters on TV, right?
Wait,
Right.
I'm confused. Is somebody else making my aggrievement point?
And
I felt like I might have heard somebody say my point about aggrievement I've been making for years.
the milkshaking is a great substitute for any type of actual violence.
Antifa's the real fascists.
Right, there you go. Well, I mean, look, those milkshakes could be delivered by anybody. Just it's
true.
people who just who are, find some of this behavior offensive, and rather than being violent, they want to say, your what you are doing to society is outside the norm. I'm going to act outside the norm, and instead of drinking this delicious milkshake, I'm going to spill it.